Hey guys, welcome to question MM422 of the Maths Methods Fortify study guide. So in this question we've got 6 marbles are placed in a bag and are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. 2 marbles are taken from the bag without replacement. Part A says what is the probability that the first marble drawn is numbered 6 and the second drawn is numbered 2? Okay, cool. Well, this is just a 1-mark question, so we don't have to do too much working, or any at all really. But the way to figure this out is we just take it step by step. So what's the probability that we pull out a 6 as our first try? Because that's what we're wanting. We're wanting to draw a first marble numbered 6, right? So our probability to do that is 1 in 6, right? So, because there's 1 6 and there's 6 total, so 1 in 6. Now that 6 is taken out, what's the probability of taking out this 2? Well, there's only 5 left, and there's only 1, 2, which means that the probability of taking 2 is 1 in 5, right? So the total probability would be 1 in 6 times 1 in 5, which equals 1 over 30, which is your first mark. So that's it for part A. You just only have to write 1 in 30, you don't have to show any working or anything like that. So guys, that's it for part A. Let's move on to part B. Now part B says, what is the probability that the numbers on the 2 marbles add to a sum of 6? And this is just a 1-mark question. Now, in order to add to a sum of 6, our first one could be, let me just write sum 6. Now, we could take multiple combinations of this, okay? So we could take a 5 and then a 1, and that would sum to a 6. We could take a 4, we could take a 4 and then a 2. We could take we couldn't take a 3 and then a 3 because there's only one 3, right? So once we take the 3, we can't get anything else to add to a 6. So that doesn't count. Then we can take a 2 and a 4. And we could take a, sorry, what a train wreck. We could take a 1 and a 5. Awesome. So the probability that we take a 5 first is 1 in 6. And then the probability that we take a 1 second is 1 in 5. Right, because there's only 1, 1 and 5 total. 1 in 5 plus the probability that we take a 4 first is 1 in 6. The probability that we take a 2 second is 1 in 5. And this is the same all along. So 1 on 6 times 1 in 5 plus 1 in 6 times 1 in 5. Awesome. And what this gives us is 2 in 15. So that's our first and only mark for this question. We are not allowed to use the calc, so try not to use your CAS with these questions. But 2 in 15 is our final answer for part B. Let's move on to part C. Part C is a 2-mark question and says, given that the sum of the numbers on the 2 marbles is 6, what is the probability that the first marble drawn is numbered 2? Right, awesome. So part C is 2 marks. Now, what we're trying to figure out is the probability that the first marble drawn is 2, given that the sum was a 6, all right? So what we're looking for is, according to our conditional probability rule, probability that the first was a 2, intersect the sum was a 6, over the probability that the sum was a 6. Awesome. Now, to find the intersect between the, this is the first mark here. To find the intersect between the first being a 2 and the sum being a 6, that means that if the first was a 2, that means we've got a 1 in 6 chance for that to happen. Then if we're going to have a sum of 6 after this, that means that the second one has to be a 4, right? There's no other number that it can be to add to a 6. The probability of taking out a 4 after this is 1 in 5, right? Because there was 6 to begin with, we've taken 1 out, so now there's 5. Which means that our probability of this intersect is 1 in 6 times 1 in 5 over the probability that this sum is equal to 6. And in part B, we found that that was 2 on 15. So the probability that the sum is 6 is 2 on 15. So we can rewrite this. 1 on 6 times 1 in 5 is 1 in 30. And then we have that over 2 in 15. What that simplifies to is we take that 15 at the top, multiply the 2 on the bottom. So we get 15 over 60, which is equal to 1 in 4. And that is our second and final mark for part C. And that actually wraps up MM422, guys. So if you have any questions about any of that, as always, please hit me up in the comments below. But otherwise, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.